What would you do if your best friend of 10 years looked you in the eyes, smiled, and then stabbed you in the back for a promotion? Most people would get angry. Most people would confront them. I did something much worse. I waited, and I planned. This is the story of how I turned the worst. My name is not important. What is important is that I spent 6 years building my career at one of the top marketing agencies in the city. I was the guy who came in early and left late. I was the guy who remembered every client's birthday, every deadline, every detail. My manager, Carol, told me privately that I was being considered for senior director, a role that came with a $40,000 salary increase in my own team. I had worked for this moment for 6 years. Jake and I had been friends since college. We joined the company the same year. We ate lunch together every day. We celebrated each other's wins. When Carol told me about the promotion, the first person I called was Jake. He was happy for me. He bought me dinner that Friday. He gave a toast. He said, and I remember this clearly, he said, "Nobody deserves this more than you." I believed him. I trusted him completely. That was my biggest mistake. 3 weeks later, Carol called me into her office. I walked in smiling, thinking the offer was ready. Instead, she looked uncomfortable. She told me the position had been filled internally. I asked who got it. She paused. Then she said Jake. I felt the room spin. I asked how. She said Jake had requested a private meeting with the CEO 2 weeks ago. He presented a full strategy for the next fiscal year. A strategy that used every idea I had shared with him over dinner, over coffee, in casual conversation. My ideas, my research, my vision, presented as his own. HR told me there was no formal record of my contributions. No emails, no documents, nothing official. I had trusted him too much to put things in writing, or so he thought. I did not cry. I did not yell. I went back to my desk, opened my laptop, and started going through every folder, every email, every shared Google Doc, every shared message, every timestamp. And there it was, everything. Drafts I had written, documents I had shared with Jake directly, timestamps proving the ideas existed weeks before his meeting with the CEO. I saved everything. I backed it up in 3 places. Then I went home, cooked dinner, watched a movie, and slept like a baby. Because I had a plan. Over the next 2 weeks, I did something Jake never expected. I said nothing at work. I smiled at him every morning. I congratulated him publicly. Meanwhile, I quietly reached out to the 3 biggest clients I had personally brought to the agency. Clients who trusted me, not the company, not Jake. I told them I was launching my own consultancy. I showed them my portfolio, my track record, my plan. All 3 signed contracts with me before I handed in my resignation. On my last day, I submitted a formal complaint to HR with every piece of evidence I had collected. Timestamps, documents, emails, a full paper trail proving Jake had stolen my work. I also forwarded copies to the CEO directly. Then I walked out. Within 60 days, my new consultancy had taken 3 major accounts that represented nearly 40% of the agency's annual revenue. The company went into emergency mode. Jake's first project as senior director collapsed without the clients who built it. The CEO was furious. I ran into Jake once after that. He asked me how I was doing. I told him I was doing great, and I meant it. My consultancy now has 8 employees and revenue I never imagined when I was eating lunch with a man I thought was my friend. The lesson I learned is simple. Document everything, trust carefully, and never let anger make your decisions. Let strategy make them instead. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for new revenge stories every week, and comment below, what would you have done in my situation?